Helium Gillum case review, appellate number 000167, Federal Court of Appeals 21 CS 039938, deposition and review, Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals. Section 1915 mandate the court to review informed pauperous complaints based on the direction of the United States Marshal to serve the complaint. Espinal Federal Application 1234 N8 and Berrien v. Harrington. As the Federal Review Procedure 12B6 standard for failure to state a claim, Watson v. Carter and Lopez v. Smith. In view of the January 6th riot, I, Zachary John Thayer, identify as the Baron of Essex by birthright and submitted a questionable application in view of the state and Ashcroft v. Iaquil. I justify a questionable application. Evidence Code 1314 prove the fact that the general notary or of interest. I do not attain that I am seeking that as model. The 38th of the United States is not understood, and in view of the state, we will not comprehend that the 44th president is living and the 39th president is living. Through marriage, wishes to show damage against a corporation. In view of the state and open review to enterprisal efficiencies, I wish to argue that this case, instead of the corporation, noted as in depositional request to subjectual harm and oracle. I choose to have questioned this in the Twitter update, and Mr. Gilliam have this in review. These are Supreme Court questions with review to case doctrine. And Walmart v. East and West, there is subliminal subtext. This is a questionable state, and we will have documentary application to management. I ask that the administrational staff of the federal court identify complainant standards in the view of asking of Belvins v. the U.S. and in view to submittance. In question, this complainant standard is not identified itself as employment or in the view of the state through broadcast. If coefficient applications of S&C Corps are identified and the ability to take care of yourself, gamma theory is not identified where the Thomas Lee and Partners is the second biggest holder of a radio company. At the request of Bob Bittman and the Daly family, I could not ask open as your questions intraday trading of that stock, single release wonderments to the artists themselves, or applicational standards in view of productional output. In the view of the state, Ticketmaster, Live Nation are not publicly traded, and I do not understand where I hold my guard card. In view of the state, exemplary management is not identified, and in view of the state, Bills, Braves, AAAs, Sharks, and 3 MLS, not understood as the Ames Corporation. In view of the state, Eldon Anderson, in view of the Browns, the previous husband, the Ford, in view of football, the fact that the Vanderbilt, how much Herschel, Ronald Owens, and the Bucks, as well as Gerald Scott Eldon, and the Cardinals, as well as the Suns. We will define that we do not identify standard analysis. Joseph Robin Biden, the 46th President of the United States, is demented. It is not the general, a general, and is not the President of the United States. So the Hydra Core evaluation is 167.94, 172.19, 179.82, with a valuation of 215 upon IPO. At standard request, the Washburn fire, as well as the fire in France, are noted in the Trucker Rebellion Union and during the COP28 summit. We are within 3 to 7 days before the nuclear power plant facilities are in primal game theory. The movement of 60,000 to 120,000 troops at deployment are identified. Applicational gamma is not in mu, and the developmental efficiency. In the view of the state, comprehensional coefficient is not identified. With questions, there are depositional requests in view of appellate model, pre and post the district model based on subliminal game theory. I will not identify as this question at large in view of day-to-day and identify as a question to PLC versus an MLP. Upon completion of my notary, 6 bachelor's, 1 master's degree at the equivalent of 2 more magisterial classes, and the application of a loan signing agent, a California State Guard, and either a risk management or a P10 with the state of California. I am not a principal in my own firm and do not identify as an agent of the state. Federal identification numbers do not mean anything, and an NG 176 and an NG 260 and a BC 176 and 174 with a civil service rate ability or an active DD 214 for civil compliance. In view of the state under the United States the United States v. Waco, or the U.S. v. Waco, I am in compliance of Michigan v. the EPA, in the view of Belvin v. the U.S. with requests in Graceland v. the U.S. based on molecular research at a time of present analysis pre-video, and communicational standards in the BA4 and the BA5. At request, a GS7 military sequence to the state of California is identified in view of the Health and Human Service Department of Interior, and Homeland Security based on biological chemical weapons review and developmental efficiency standards. In compliant state, atomic modeling is not identified. In the view of the state, the cost of living analysis, there are questions in foreign policy based on model risk analysis, which will be identified in the foreign video.